Good evening, America and the rest of the world. Santa J. Hobson here, stand-up comedian and entertainer, director and producer of boxing documentaries and internet troll. To those who need internet trolling, this is another episode of The Devil's Advocate, brought to you by the Brilliant Artist Movement. Folks, listen, I'm trying to grow the platform, so please subscribe, like, share. Leave a comment in the comment section because I love reading your comments and getting feedback from you. Hopefully you say something nice, but if you want to get cute in my comment section, I invite you to do so. But just know, you get out of pocket, I'm going to take your damn head off. I'm the troll's troll, and trolling me will not be tolerated. So anyway, right, I was on YouTube a little earlier today, and I learned that the killer of Alpo Martinez has been brought to justice, or at the very minimum court, because he is innocent until proven guilty. Now, of course, all of this is alleged because we know that anything that we hear in these YouTube streets is not factual until we hear it from a major news source such as CNN, Fox 29, etc., and the Kashmir Sweater. And from what I learned or heard, Alpo's alleged killer did not come by way of a family member of Rich Porter or Wayne Perry or any of the other people that Alpo stabbed in the back. Alpo's killer was said to be a young man who killed him over a girl. Now, whether Alpo was in a relationship with this girl or whether it was just something that happened on the street, I'm unclear about, because again, all of this is alleged and speculation. However, I will say this: Alpo was too old of a cat to be taken down by a kitten. Sadly, a lot of older guys don't know when to hang up their guns. And we all know, if you watch the cowboy pictures, all the old gunslingers, their only desire is to hang up the guns. But not Alpo. Alpo was still trying to catch up on the time that he lost, so he was still out here in these streets, an old man who should have been chilling, trying to run these streets and interact and go toe-to-toe with these young lions. Now, folks, I use the term young lions because I want to use the animal kingdom to illustrate the point that I'm trying to make here. Now, said all that to say this: the streets is a jungle, and out there in that concrete jungle, one is either a lone predator. What is a lone predator? A lion, a tiger, a bear. Oh my! Or they are a fox, or they are the wise old owl. Now, we all know the dope on the wise old owl. He sits high, he looks low, and he dispenses wisdom to all the other animals. The owl is pretty much the OG of the animal kingdom, and all the other animals defer to him. Now, one other category of animal I want to throw in there just to make this whole thing a round and balanced example of what the streets are like. You have herd animals. Well, what are herd animals? Herd animals are pretty much sheep, cows, anything that sticks in the pack. And for the sake of this example, we'll use the herd animals as squares. Now, guys like Alpo Martinez, Rich Porter, Wayne Perry, these guys are all lone predators. But in the case of Alpo, although a lone predator, a lion, a tiger, or a bear, Alpo was pretty much a cross between a lone predator and a fox. Now, foxes are very cagey and clever animals. They're not as smart as the owl, but they are usually smarter than the squares, which is the herd animals, and the lone predators. This is why whenever you see cartoons where the fox is the main character, the fox always starts out being slick and getting over until at the end, he usually gets his. Now, for the sake of this conversation, right, we'll use the character Scar from The Lion King as an example, and we'll use Alpo as Scar. Alpo was in all actuality, when it came to these streets, Alpo was Scar. Alpo was a flashy guy. He was a little bit smarter than all the lone predators that was around him. He was admired by the squares, and he was admired by the squares, and he was a little bit smarter than the squares, or at least a little bit ballsier than the squares, because he had the heart to get out there and do what the squares wouldn't do. And as for the lone predators, he was always a little smarter than them guys. And if you think about it, right, everybody around Alpo Martinez, they either went to jail or got killed or ended up getting hurt pretty bad. So again, Alpo was too old of a cat to be getting tricked up with some kitten and getting himself killed out there in those streets. But how did that happen? I'll tell you how that happened. Alpo spent a great deal of his maturing years behind bars, and he didn't realize that there are phases or lanes that a man should be in. Am I in the lone predator lane? Am I in the fox lane, or am I in the owl lane? See, there's stages. When you are out there in these streets, when you are in your lone predator stage, a lion, a tiger, a bear, this is when you're young. You might get out there in them streets when you're 13, 14 years old. And guess what? You got time on your side. You got your youth. You got your strength. Hell, you can get shot, and if you don't get killed or paralyzed, you can recover. You can go to jail, and guess what? You can recover. You do something when you're 17 years old, they try you as an adult, you get 7 years, guess what? When you get out, you're 24 years old, you're still a young man, and you can go right back out there. But I tell you what, at some point, when you out here in these streets, young people, you better know the lanes that you need to be in. And by the time a person gets maybe like about 30, they need to be making that transition from the lion, the tiger, the bear lane to the fox lane. Because now you have some experiences. You done had a kid or two. You done been in jail. You done got shot. You done shot some people. You done just now beat some cases. Now it's time for the wisdom to kick in. You gotta know when to make the transition from being a lion, a tiger, and a bear to being a fox. And guess what? You right there at the gates of being an old head because you got some wisdom. But check this out. At some point, maybe by the time you in your late 30s or early 40s, you need to know that you have to make the transition from being a fox to being an OG owl. The owls are the OGs of the animal kingdom. They don't get their hands dirty. That's why you always see them sitting high. Now, I said all that to say this. Alpo Martinez got killed because he didn't know the lane that he belonged in. Alpo Martinez starting out as a lion, but again, he was always a little bit smarter than the other lions and tigers and bears. That's why all the guys around him end up either dying, going to jail, or getting hurt really bad. But when Alpo Martinez fell, he lost a significant amount of his life. And when he got out, instead of just hanging up his guns and getting high in the tree and being the OG owl that he was, Alpo Martinez, he didn't even stop at the phase of being a fox. Alpo Martinez went back out there and tried to be a lion after being away from the streets for a very long time. And what happened? Alpo Martinez ended up getting himself killed by a young, hungry lion who didn't give a damn about an old lion who should have hung up his guns a long time ago. Folks, I think I'm pretty much done with this. The only thing that I can say before I close this video out, young men, older men, young ladies, older ladies, make sure you stay in your lane, because the reason why cars get into accidents is because they don't know to stay in their lane. I'm done with it.